Welcome, everybody. For those of you that this is your first time in a BariNation class support group or even navigating around or seeing the rest of us, my name is Jason Smith. I'm one of the co-founders of BariNation, and we're glad to see you guys here today. We have Christine, who's one of the members of our leadership team, with us today, who's going to be helping monitor the chat and kind of just all around help us keep things running smoothly. We also have the amazing Lora Grabow with us today. We're going to be talking about navigating holiday hotspots. As you know, this time goes on, we know that these are some of the times that we have a lot of anxiety built up around, whether it be family members, whether it's going to be the food that we're going to be sitting at, depending on what stage we are in our journeys. These things can kind of creep up on us, and we're going to learn kind of how to navigate that with Laura today.
I am lost my pages. Can everyone still hear me?
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you and see the pages.
But just you can only see navigating holiday hotspots, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Let's see. Hold on just a minute. There we go. Good?
Okay.
Go ahead, Jason.
All right. All right. So if everybody, please can introduce yourself in the chat. We can start with your name, where you live, where you are in your bariatric journey, the type of surgery that you had or are hoping to have, and how you heard about this community class. It is amazing to see so many fresh faces in here. We love it.
I know. Welcome, welcome. I see familiar faces, but so many new faces.
$11 years out. Nice.
Love it.
Welcome out. Grand Rapids. Uh-oh.
Woo, Grand Rapids is in the house.
Well, she's your neck of the woods, Laura.
That's right.
Yeah, it's Kristen.
Yay. Hi, Kristen.
Hey, I love your classes, so here I am.
You are. It's been a while. Welcome, welcome. You want to introduce us, Jason? We can get going.
Yes, ma'am. So for those of you who aren't quite familiar with BariNation, we are a patient-created bariatric educational organization. We are also a community podcast and advocacy, helping patients to learn how to live their best bariatric life. April, Natalie, and myself started BariNation. We're going on about 2 years now for actual BariNation for the community itself. The podcast is a little over 3 years old. Something that we started because we realized that there was just a gap in treatment for bariatric patients. I myself live in Jacksonville, Florida. April Williams, who is our other co-founder, lives in Gig Harbor, Washington. So we knew if we lived in completely opposite ends of the country from each other and had the similar experience, we knew that we weren't the only ones. And there had to be a mass of people in the middle that also had the same issues. So we started the podcast to hopefully reach out and help educate those in our community. So we're just glad you guys are here today. And we have the amazing Lora Grabow here. Please introduce yourself, ma'am.
Yes. Hello, everyone. I am Lora Grabow, and I'm coming to you from my home office in Grand Rapids, Michigan. And I have been a bariatric therapist with over 20 years of experience walking alongside patients just like you in group and individual settings. I call myself a headwork expert, if you will, providing bariatric patients the missing piece of their treatment plan, a piece I call headwork. And that's what we're going to be talking about today with navigating holiday hotspots. I'm also one of the BariNation experts in the patient support community and have been with them since they launched. Absolutely love it. And I primarily lead emotional eating, weekly emotional eating classes, life and maintenance, weekly emotional eating support groups, life and maintenance support groups, bariatric beginning support groups, and also general support groups and doing classes like this. So I am absolutely thrilled to be here. And I knew that was going to happen because somehow I'm losing my pages and I don't know how. Here I told you, let's see. We will do this. Give me just a minute. And we are going to jump right in. So sorry about that. Does everyone hear that beep? Is that just people coming in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but not everyone hears it. Okay. We're going to go back to here. We're going to go.
That's because you and Jason are unmuted and your hosts that you're getting. the doorbell.
Gotcha. I don't know why this isn't letting me. I think. Give me just a minute. There we go. All right, so we are going to talk a little bit. I know that when I show up for class, especially on a Sunday, thank you all, on the end of a busy holiday weekend, taking time for yourself and making yourself essential. I want to know, what am I going to leave with? What am I going to leave with? How am I going to be different? Because I spend some time in this community class that BariNation is offering. Well, a couple things in this class. We've called it Navigating Holiday Hotspots. And we're going to be talking a lot about boundaries, understanding what boundaries are and how to set them. You are going to leave with a game plan for an anticipated upcoming holiday hotspot. So yes, you will leave with an action step that we're going to create right in this time, because your time is valuable, especially during the holidays. And we want you to know that you can craft a holiday that meets your bariatric needs. I have worked now, like I said, 20 years with the bariatric surgery population, and a lot of anxiety comes up, or as we're going to be talking about today, your temperature goes up during the holidays. And I am here to tell you that it doesn't have to, that you're all going to be just fine, as you have been every month of 2023, and that you can be in control of this holiday season instead of the holiday season controlling you. So that is what I'm leading into right now. How can we lower the temperature this holiday season? Okay. It's so important for me to remind you right now that a few moments in meals will not add all of your lost weight back onto your frame. Let me say that again. A few moments in meals will not add all of our lost weight back onto our frame. You do not need to panic over 6 days. In fact, one of them's already done, and you got through it successfully. Thanksgiving. We also know holiday hotspots can happen on Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, and of course, throughout the month of December, work parties, social gatherings, and just general celebrations are up. And I want to give all of you credit just by coming here today or this evening, if you're in Eastern time zone like me, you are already lowering the temperature. You're going to get information to say, okay, I'm not going to panic. Because as Jason would say, this sounds like a Jason line to me, it's all about redistributing the weight. So I'm going to define what is a holiday hotspot, and then I would like you to take time to put in the chat what are some of your anticipated holiday hotspots. So hotspots, our definition, is an event or experience that can trigger you to make choices not aligned with your goals, right? That can trigger you to go into some off-plan eating or off-plan actions that you didn't want to go to. Oftentimes, I have heard from patients, holiday hotspots for them can be holiday parties. and specifically about a holiday party, once a year food. Well, Laura, I only get that food once a year. Also, at these holiday parties and gatherings, a hotspot could be you're going to be around family members, if we're honest, you don't really want to see or may cause you stress. Something I know personally that can be very difficult with going through the holidays is maybe you've lost loved ones this year, or maybe it was many, many years ago. But holidays bring that nostalgia back of grief in missing the people who are no longer with us during the holiday hotspots. Sometimes it can be, I'm so busy. I'm worried about holiday shopping, whether that's food shopping or gift shopping. I'm go, 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 do, and I'm busy, busy, busy. And that can become a hotspot on your bariatric journey. These are some things I've learned through the years, but I would love if you're putting in the chat. And Christine, first of all, I have to thank Christine. If you haven't figured out already, she is our moderator and she is helping Jason and I get through this community class. So what are some hot spots that are being listed in the chat, Christine? Anyone putting anything down?
Right now, people are still introducing themselves. The
Okay.
majority of people who are here seem to be post-op, anywhere from newly post-op to 3 to 4 years. We have some people who have had some issues with once a year foods, and the last time they're going to have it before surgery. People who have dealing with the loss of loved ones. Family meals together are stressful. The temperaments of certain personalities of people when they're getting together seems to be elevating some of the stress that people are going through. Holiday parties with coworkers and bosses are another one.
Yes. So the first part of lowering the temperature and being able to set boundaries is understanding, okay, let me think about this before it happens. What are some of my holiday hotspots? And I'm not surprised, as I shared and you shared in this chat, you're probably going to find that they fall under some of the things that we have learned that make the holiday stressful. So one that's already been mentioned is obviously family stress, seeing or being around family members who are not supportive, abrasive, mean, or insensitive. Okay. And that can be about your bariatric journey, and it could be not about your bariatric journey. One thing about families is we all have them, and we all have family stress. Some people say to me, well, Laura, my family's dysfunctional. Guess what? All our families are dysfunctional. And I say we have to put the fun back in dysfunction. Think about that. How do we spell dysfunctional? The word fun is in there. Family stress. We got to put the fun back in dysfunction. Financial stress is up during the holidays, especially this year. Worried about spending money that we might not have, purchasing the perfect gift, worried about creating perfect holiday memories. I love that I saw something on Facebook today that said, if you don't dress in cute pajamas and do a bazillion Christmas activities, you're still a good mom. Loved it. Sometimes we are very stressed about creating the perfect holiday memories. Bariatric stress, we can't forget that. Worried about eating foods that might trigger grief. Not eating foods people are making with us, so making just for us. So Aunt Susie said, but this has always been your favorite and you're choosing not to eat it this year. Missing out. Maybe you're thinking about, I don't want to miss out on the traditional foods, and that's stressing me out. And then again, those once a year eating opportunities. I only get this food once a year. And then there's, of course, guilt-based stress, feeling guilty for worrying about the holidays, not feeling joyful about the holidays and feeling guilty about it. I have learned as a therapist for many, many years that holidays are not the best time of the year. They are not the most wonderful time of the year. And I have people who are looking forward to them being over, and you feel guilty about that. I'm here to tell you, feelings aren't right or wrong. They just are. And there's no reason to feel guilty about them. And again, the guilt about being able to eat or no desire to eat once a year foods. And all of this, as you look at this, okay, as you think about your hotspots and you think about why are the holidays stressful, what I know as someone who's a specialist in this field, right? So bariatric therapist is is how you find me on Instagram. What I know as a bariatric therapist that is as stress goes up, it increases your likelihood of emotional eating. I'm going to say that again. As stress goes up, what I've learned from the majority of my patients is that it can increase your likelihood of emotional eating. So, boundaries. What are they? Why are they important when they come to these holiday hotspots? A boundary is a line that marks the limit of something. Boundaries help us and others know our limits. Boundaries can help us make decisions and determine next steps. Boundaries are what we say yes to before we say yes to anything else. Let's get a little more specific. Emotional boundaries are often about how other people talk to us and how they treat us. Many times we don't really know what our boundaries are until someone crosses them or their actions make us feel uncomfortable and we notice our emotions are just kind of rising a little bit. A key thing about boundaries is we need to communicate our boundaries to people and then hold them and ourselves accountable. This is a biggie. I want to slow down here. As we think about setting emotional boundaries, not only around the holidays, but just in general, people can't read your minds. Some of you may be thinking, well, they should just know not to offer me that food at the holiday party. I wish they would just know, or they should just know I need time to go to my BariNation groups during the holiday season, or they should just know I need to make time for movement. They should just know I need protein available on the holiday buffet. I wish our people just knew, but they're not mind readers. And it's very important with the tool that you're going to be leaving with today that you take action in communicating what your boundaries are. Because our loved ones, and even people who aren't our loved ones at these holiday events, are not mind readers. So bringing it down, so we've talked about general boundaries. What are emotional boundaries? Well, what does this have to do with bariatric patients? What are bariatric boundaries? Bariatric boundaries are the actions, attitudes, and thoughts that all of you practice to live aligned with your bariatric goals. You all set a bariatric boundary right now to attend this class. You said, I want to learn how to navigate holiday hotspots. You are all very, 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 very busy people. It's an end of a busy holiday weekend. But you all said to the people and the commitments in your life, I am not available during this hour on this Sunday. That's an example of a bariatric boundary. They're specific bari actions that you say yes to before you say yes to other things. And finally, bariatric boundaries are the action and thoughts that will help you keep your temperature low when things get stressful. Bariatric boundaries are the guide rails you're putting in place this holiday season to help you feel in control of the holidays instead of the holidays controlling you. So for example, it's one thing for me to talk about them very theoretically, but here's what they actually look like. Bariatric boundaries: always eat protein first before other foods. That's a boundary. I'm going to move intentionally every day, no matter what. Bariatric boundary. Some people, when some bariatric patients, when they feel the pull to emotionally eat, they've been able to identify that. Instead of eating, they journal about it. Or maybe they talk to someone about it. Another bariatric boundary is you have a commitment to taking your vitamins on a daily basis. Some emotional boundaries that all of us set, bariatric patients or not. I'm not a bariatric patient, but I have some of these boundaries. Not checking social media first thing in the morning. Not bringing your phone into the bedroom. And here's a biggie. What if we focused on the things that we can control and let go of things and issues that are out of our control? Focusing on things that we can control and letting go of things and issues that are out of our control. Wouldn't that be a wonderful way to navigate holiday hotspots? One thing I've learned about why our patients struggle during the holiday season, and it is emotional eating. That's a biggie. And by the way, it's not just stress eating. The number one reason we emotionally eat in general is happy eating. It's celebration eating. We want to keep the good feeling going, and we have many opportunities to do that during the holidays. It's that happy eating. But another hotspot, if you will, or a risk factor for our patients during the holidays is they can quickly become everything to everyone again. My patients are the people pleasers. My patients want to make everyone happy. Does this sound familiar? And they start letting go of things that are important to them and start becoming everything to everyone. And that has to do with this one, focusing on the things you can control, letting go of things and issues that are out of your control. What I find during the holiday season and what I've learned from my patients, and I learn the most from my patients, is during the holiday season, they start becoming involved in things they absolutely have no control over. What do I mean by that? You put this pressure on yourself that you want to make everyone happy and give everyone the perfect Christmas. And I have to ask yourself, how much control do you have over making everyone happy? Big, fat, zero. How much control do we put there? Trying to make people happy? Entirely too much. So what if by starting right now with the boundary that you set by coming here, you're focusing on the things you can control? That's certainly a way to navigate holiday hotspot. So what are our holiday boundaries? That was a good setup to start talking about. We have some patients who are here many years post-op. We have some of you that are here for the first time facing the holidays. Some of you might not even had surgery yet. So I'd like you to start putting in the chat, and Christine is going to share what are some emotional and bariatric boundaries that you've set or tried setting in the past. What has worked for you as I've talked about these emotional bariatric boundaries? What has worked for you to have a successful holiday season?
I know one that worked well for me, Laura, was bringing my own, like the first 2 years post-op I was, until I really trusted myself around those types of events. I just brought all my own food. That way I didn't have to have the uncomfortable conversation as to why I'm not eating the other things, was because I have my own. This is what I know I'm approved to eat, so I'm just going to eat these things. I appreciate the offer, but I've got what I need.
Love it. Love it. Bring your own food. Anyone else?
Seems as though many people are talking about bringing their own food, which is definitely a boundary. I'm not sure it's an emotional boundary, but you can tell us if that's the case, Laura.
It's a boundary.
It's a boundary.
It's a bariatric boundary, bringing your own food. Absolutely. Anyone else? What do you have?
Letting go of being in control is definitely a bariatric boundary.
Love it.
Letting others be in charge. when they host, letting others bring their own drinks so that they're not bringing in cases of Diet Coke, which has been a problem for them in the past. Not letting family members talk over them or other family members. Talking about what they actually need or think. Setting a 2-hour limit.
I love it. You can keep putting those in the chat. And I wanted to ask, and here's some of them because I wanted to point out, you already have some of these tools in your toolbox. You're going to leave with another tool from this class, but you can give yourself credit because you're not reinventing the wheel. You have strengths inside of you and boundaries that have already worked. You might have just used one last Thursday that you can continue to use throughout this holiday season.
People are focusing on what they can control versus what they can't. Saying no and recognizing that no is a full sentence.
Yes, love it.
Saying yes to what I actually need help with.
Perfect. So I want you to start thinking I want you to keep thinking about these wonderful boundaries that you're sharing, these effective boundaries that you're sharing. And we are now launching into the action step, if you will. Want to make sure that we have time for questions at the end, but also want to make sure that we have time to create something that's really important. And what I want to bring to you, I'll just bring up the slide right now, is some work that was introduced to me by Dr. Judy Beck many, 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 many years ago. She is a renowned cognitive behavioral therapist who runs actually the Beck Institute, and part of the Beck Institute is called the Beck Weight Management Institute out of Pennsylvania. And I've been able to, she's written several books on applying cognitive behavioral therapy to weight management, highly recommend. And I've been able to train with her twice. And one of the tools she encourages us to create with those who are working on their weight management journey, and really this tool has worked for things outside of weight management as well, is a priority chart. And that's what I want to create. And I've actually talked about with Jason, and I've talked about with April, and I've talked about with Nat, and you're going to see some examples of theirs. I want to introduce you to this idea of creating a priority chart. What are boundaries that you want to set? What are priorities that you want to make sure you put in place this holiday season so you have success on your holiday journey when it comes to your bariatric surgery goals, and that you feel in control of the holidays instead of how the holidays controlling you? And so I want you to start thinking of these 3 categories. What's essential? When you think of a holiday hotspot coming up, what is essential? Maybe your whole holiday hotspot is the holiday season. What is essential? So what do I mean by that? What is going to be absolutely necessary, extremely important, something that has to happen for you to meet your needs as a bariatric patient? Must do, top priority, number 1 actions. What's highly desirable? Something that it's not essential, but I'd like it to happen when it comes to the holidays. Something that you will work hard to do, things that you know would be helpful for your bariatric journey. And finally, what is desirable? When you think about your holiday hotspot, what is desirable? Something that would be nice, but it's not essential, not critical. It'd be like a bonus if that happened, but it's okay if I don't get it in. So I want you to start thinking about those 3 words. What's essential, highly desirable, and desirable. I'm going to jump to the next slide here. I think this is where I'm having difficulty. Oh, no, we're going to go backwards. There we go. All right, so you might be thinking, what do you mean? And this is where I'm going to turn it over to Jason first. I'll let you share. You'll see the holiday. Jason, Natalie, and April have shared their holiday hotspots and what creating a priority chart would look like for them. So Jason, can you take it away?
Absolutely. So mine was not staying hydrated during social events. I talk a lot. I'm always roaming around the room, talking to everybody, making sure I'm touching all the talking to all the people, making sure I, all the things in all the conversations, and helping cook and helping, set tables and things. So the biggest thing for me was lack of hydration. So my essential category, Laura helped me figure out, would be to set alarms to remind me to drink. And then the highly desirable was the do a hydration check in the community. And then my desirable was make sure that I can access cold water. And because I can't drink it any other way. I've tried all the things, and the only way I can is that I will continue to do it as if it's, crazy ice cold. So I will happy to report that this Thanksgiving I was able to stay completely hydrated. I did very well. I did all I checked down my checklist there, and it worked out tremendously well. So I can report back that it works.
It absolutely works. And Jason, when I first introduced this idea to you and April and Natalie, I want to ask you, did you have the temptation, like many of my patients, to put everything in essential? Like when we were just talking about, you know what, I got to work on staying hydrated. Like that, like what I get, I love parties and I can just be really in the moment and totally forget about my hydration the day of a holiday party. And if I started talking to you and say, okay, well, what do you need to do to stay hydrated? Would your tendency be like, okay, I need to set alarms to remind myself to drink. I need to do a hydration check in the community. I got to make sure I have access to cold water. Maybe go to a BariNation group to remind me, and maybe check, like, is your tendency to put them all in essential? Can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Absolutely, yeah, everything, because we think about it in ways of something that if we're having a hotspot or a priority to us, essential, fits all the categories, because it is essential that we stay hydrated. It is essential that we have all these things. So we automatically want to pile them in the essential basket.
Yes, right. And would you say at all, Jason, or any other patients in the room, Christine, do you struggle with perfectionism?
Yeah, recovering perfectionist, not doing very well at it.
How dare you say that? Of course we are.
And anyone else struggle with perfectionism? Just give us a thumbs up or a yes in the chat.
Yes, there's a lot of emojis that are going on about
Yes. Okay. So I will let you know when I got, Dr. Beck, when she introduced this tool, had all of us go through as therapists as well, what we thought essential. And she had us write in pencil, because when it came to our priorities, we put everything in essential. We got to get it all done. And we got to do it perfectly. What do you mean highly desirable? No, it is all or nothing thinking. Friends, we are here at this community class to lower the temperature on your stress. And so, yes, Jason came up. He knows what his holiday hotspot is. It's a hotspot for him to tend towards dehydration during the holiday season at these social events. What is absolutely essential that he's going to do to stay hydrated? He's going to set alarms to remind him to drink. And he moved some of the other into, I'm going to for sure set alarms. Highly desirable, do a hydration check in the community. What does that mean? What does that mean, Jason? People may not know what that means.
So setting hydration checks in the community is sometimes when you feel like you're not really kind of living up to your goal that you need for yourself, is you can put something out in the community, maybe holding up your water vessel and say, I have so much in for the day already. Who's with me? How's everybody doing? Some people even tag a multitude of people just to kind of throw it out there and say, how's everybody else doing? And you'll start getting a flood of DMs back, and people will say, oh my gosh, I'm doing this and I need to step it up. Thanks for reminding me. Or, you're doing great. And just that little boost with the community, and the, kind of helps to boost you to get to your goal that you're looking for.
Absolutely. So it's something you can do on this in a social media community, right? And I've seen some of them lately. There's been some movement accountability check-ins going in, putting them on story, people moving and putting it on there. So yes, highly desirable for Jason, do a hydration check in the community. Desirable, make sure I can have access to cold water. Right. Did it lower the temperature, Jason? One, to even identify a hotspot, and then moving some stuff out of essential. Could you talk about that a little bit?
It did. It lowered the hotspot for me going into it because one, I knew that I was going to be properly fueled to continue my day the way I would like to, because I know in past years I've actually had to miss out on part of the day because I had to go lay down or recoup, or because I just didn't have the energy to continue to go. So that lowered the temperature and the overall expectation of what was coming up because I knew I had a plan in place. And then moving everything out of essential made it less of a mountain to climb and more of a hill that we're going to go up together.
Which helped you have success on Thanksgiving.
Absolutely.
Which is why this plan is going to continue for you during this high risk month between Thanksgiving and New Year's. Many, many social gatherings. That's going to be important for you to stay hydrated. I spent a little bit more time with Jason because he's here, and I want you guys to start thinking, right? You're going to be doing your own priority chart in this class and in your own holiday hotspot. But I want to share Natalie's in April as well. So when I was talking with Natalie about her holiday hotspot, and she says it's the sweets. It is the sweets at these holiday gatherings. Let's face it, sweets are everywhere, right? I don't know about you, but we had like multiple pies at Thanksgiving. Right. And I know it is just going to continue during the holidays with Christmas cookies and Christmas candies and things that only get made once a year. So her hotspot is sweet snacking at holiday events. So this is what she came up with when she said, okay, I'm going to make my priority chart for that. What are some boundaries I need to set? What are some things I need to do? What are behaviors that come first? Essential. Eat a high protein meal before going to the hotspot. Okay. Eating a high protein meal at the social event before having the sweets. Non-negotiable. And I bet if Nat was here, she's going to say that's exactly what she did at Thanksgiving. She also knows that she's going to attend a BariNation group. That day of the social event, and you're going to be hearing more. Some of you are part of the BariNation community. Some of you are not. You're going to be hearing more about all the resources that are available, and we want to invite you into the BariNation community. So for Natalie, she knows she's more likely to stick to her goal of being in control of eating sweets if she attends a group that day and shares some of her struggle and gets some support and accountability. What would be desirable would be bring a safe sweet treat. Maybe before she'd put that in essential. Well, I got to bring something for me. I got to attend a group. I got to make sure I eat high protein. But she's like, you know what? I'm going to lower the temperature. For me to be successful, yeah, it'd be great if I had time to put something on the buffet table that was safe for her and met her goals. But if I don't get to it, it's okay. April was very honest. She said, there's a lighted boat parade that they do every year in her community. And she has a tendency to overdrink. Let's talk about that. That didn't come up in the holiday hotspots. I hear about it often. There are a lot of Christmas cocktails that are out there, a lot of high calorie, maybe not even, they could be a mocktail, but they're high calorie. But let's be honest, there's a lot of Christmas alcohol going around, a lot of holiday drinking. So over drinking at the lighted boat parade can be one for April. So for her, essential, saying no as soon as she walks in the door when the drink is offered to her. She knows she's going to be offered a cocktail as soon as she walks in the door, and she's going to say no. And she's going to stay hydrated before and during the event. Absolutely essential. Right? And I love that she has saying no, because remember when I taught who's responsible for communicating the boundaries? You are. April is. We want to assume the people at the party just know and aren't going to offer. Not going to happen. April has to be in charge of her no. She has to communicate it. Her highly desirable is just like Natalie. She's going to attend a BariNation group on the day of the holiday lighting boat parade, the lighted boat parade. That sounds so lovely. A lighted boat parade during the holidays. We would never have that here in Michigan. So she's going to go to a BariNation group, and desirable, the day of the lighted boat parade, she's going to get some movement in. It'd be a bonus, not essential, desirable. So here's an example of a priority chart, and you're probably not surprised. My apologies that I'm having trouble. There we go. Oh, no, I keep going backwards. It's so weird. Sorry. I promise you I'm not going to keep teaching everything over again. 12, 13, there we go. So what about you? What is your holiday hotspot? This is that tool that Jason and I promised you that you were going to leave with. We want you to take time, because I bet none of you have ever created a priority chart. Maybe you listened to me talk about this on the podcast about a week or two ago. And you're like, oh yeah, that's a good idea. I'm going to do it. But you never took time to do it. Now's your time. So we're going to give you about, probably it's only going to take about 5 to 7 minutes. You can kind of let us know in the chat when you're done, to identify, when you think about, okay, what do I have coming up this month? One holiday hotspot. Maybe it's going to be sweet eating. Maybe it's going to be alcohol. Maybe it's going to be staying hydrated. And then I want you to put down, like Jason, Nat, and April did, what is going to be absolutely essential? What boundary? What do you need to do to make your berry needs essential? What is highly desirable to make your berry needs essential? And what is desirable? So go ahead and take some time to do that. And I wish we had time for everyone to share their priority chart. We won't, and I know you're still working on it, but please take some time to start thinking about, will I be comfortable sharing it with the group? How are we doing, Christine? Are people done?
So I've asked people to raise their hand if they'd like to share with the group, and Ashley Billings is our first volunteer.
Yay, Ashley!
Hi, everybody. I breathing at these like holiday functions is an issue that I identified. So I think essential for me would be to make sure my food is plated instead of walking by and grabbing. That was harder during Thanksgiving than I expected it to be. Highly desirable would be attending a group. In BariNation, I never walk away feeling like I regretted doing that. But being able to talk that out and like have some other people like give you some good ideas about what to do. And I think desirable for me is like on that plate having something that I like, including something in there that I'm gonna enjoy, or maybe it's one of those once a year foods or something like that.
Ashley, that is excellent. I'm curious, have you ever done anything like this before when you think about your high-risk holiday hotspots?
No.
Do you think it would be helpful? It's going to be helpful.
I do. I think it's perhaps feels a little less overwhelming to break down the task into some smaller steps.
Love it. Love it. Christine, do you want to pick our next person?
Sure. Megan shared in the chat. Megan, I can read it for you if you'd prefer, unless you'd like to unmute. Megan is going to a cheese party, which is a party that I would love to go to.
Yeah.
Her essentials is to drink water all day. Her highly desirable is to eat a protein meal before attending. And her desirable is to decline alcohol and schedule movement day of and the next day.
Love it. Love it. Excellent.
Deanne has her hand raised, so she can be our next volunteer.
So I wrote down to set an alarm for my essential is to set an alarm for protein, because I know when I get too busy, that would be one thing that I would need. And I also put down that it's very essential that I ask for space for those that are around me and that know me, just so I can walk away and regroup. For my highly desirable, I wrote down community and water. And for my desirable, I wrote movement. And this would all go throughout the whole day.
I love it. Love it.
Anna also has raised her hand to share.
Hi, I am having a revision on December 6th. So my hotspot or my essential is going to be sticking to my post-op diet and staying hydrated through that. Highly desirable is leaning into my supports, especially on BariNation, getting to those groups and really taking part in the community. And then the desirable, because it might actually not happen for a few weeks, is getting my vitamins in.
I love it. I love it. I do see that there's still hands raised and people are putting things in chats, but for the sake of time, we do have to move on. We have about 10 minutes left. Gosh, time flies when we're having fun.
Yes, Sarah is the only other person who had her hand raised, and she did a screenshot and filled in her. So I want to, congratulate her on her tech abilities.
I love it. I love it. Well, speaking of Sarah having that screenshot, and I want to think of all of you who took time to do this. By the way, another win that you can celebrate, another way you just lowered the temperature. How could you increase the likelihood that this priority chart would happen? Can anyone think of what else could you do with this priority chart? Share it. I promise it's not a trick question. Share it with your people.
And Becky got the right answer. So Becky came right out of the gate and said share.
Share, absolutely. Maybe you have
for support on the day of.
Yeah. Maybe you all have that one support person, right? We all have cheerleaders. Our plans are more likely to happen if we share them with somebody. I bet you Jason was able to execute this on Thanksgiving because he had already talked about it with me and April and Nat. It was a plan he had put in place, right? Some of you, this is the first time that you've created a priority chart. It's good for you that you've created it, but you have just increased the likelihood of actually making it happen by sharing it with somebody. and letting them know these are my goals. And that could be in a group, that could be your encouraging person, your support person, the cheerleader on your team. Let them know. Now, with that said, I want to talk to you a little bit about the day after. And this might have just happened for you, right? So you might have felt like, I did really well on Thanksgiving. I planned for it. I went to all these groups. I listened to, my surgical center put out ideas. I did great on Thanksgiving, but Lora, I kind of struggled on Friday. If that's you, I want to tell you, you're not alone. Again, I have learned the most from my bariatric patients through these 20 years of walking alongside them. And that's exactly what I hear. They're like, okay, Lora, like I go to this navigating holiday hotspots. I did really well on Thanksgiving. I did really well on Christmas. I did well at the lighted boat parade, but man, the day after I struggled. And I want to say to all of you, it's normal. And that's why I want you to plan for that as well, because the hotspots remain warm the day after. Your next day plan is just as important as your hotspot plan. What I have learned from my patients is because I dive in and I'm like, okay, why? What's going on? What's the stinking thinking? What I hear is, well, I planned for the stressful event, but I didn't plan for the letdown. Or I do really well when I'm in front of people, but it's when I'm by myself that I struggle. Or here's a biggie. I stayed on my holiday hotspot plan. I deserve to fill in the blank. Right? So I want you to be aware of that. And I want you to start thinking, we don't have time to talk about it, but I couldn't teach this class without even just introducing the concept of plan for the day after. How will you return to your plan, to your normal after your hotspot? Please don't say, I'll wait till January 1. I'm going to say that again. That's the old you. Please don't say I'll start in January. What are your boundaries going to be the day after your holiday gathering or your holiday hotspot? I mentioned we only had a little bit of time left, so I want to ask, did we meet our goals? I think we did. I think now you understand what boundaries are and how to set them. You're all leaving with a game plan for an anticipated upcoming holiday hotspot. And just by creating this, you already know that you can craft a holiday that meets your needs. And I want to ask, are there any questions? If anyone want to share your takeaways?
You can put questions in the chat or raise your hand, whichever you're comfortable with.
I can tell you, as the day after a warm spot, this is the first one of these I've had today. So luckily I finished it, but I'm going to get one more in before I go to bed tonight. So that'll be 2.
I think I get my hydration the most in BariNation groups because I see all of you. So I continue to do it. Because even non-bariatric patients need to hydrate.
I'm always really good when we record. I'm perfect with it because I'll chug 2 of these while we record.
Yeah. So Ashlyn is feeling confident and empowered going into the holidays. Anna says you have a plan for success. Leslie said this is so helpful with a multitude of exclamation points, which we love. This is my first meeting. Welcome, Leslie. We are thrilled that you could join us.
I love to hear that what we all just experienced was so helpful. And Jason's going to wrap us up to talk about how you can continue to stay involved. And what is this BariNation community? Like, why did it go onto people's priority chart? So Jason, take us away.
Oh, so for continued support, if you like this kind of learning, you can join the BariNation support community. We do offer over 80 live support groups and classes and meetups a month. It is 100% virtual. And it is app-based, which that helps a lot, meaning quality support from your home on your schedule. Targeted support meaningful to you and your journey. You can join us at barination.mn.co. we will welcome you with open arms. And if you look for the December 2023 support groups, you can see there is a multitude of them. Lots of things. They're therapist led. They are experts in the bariatric community. There are also peer support meetups that are led by peers. I lead one, Natalie leads one, April leads some. We have amazing supports also by those led to by our amazing Lora Grabow. She leads some. My wife even leads one on transfer addiction.
Absolutely. We don't share this to stress you out.
This is Christine's favorite slide.
Christine does not like this slide.
We share this.
It is very impactful.
Can we jump? Can I jump in, Jason?
Yes, ma'am.
We share this. Okay, this is to show you how many things you can jump into if you need. Right? We don't want you going to all of them at BariNation, especially in the month of December. So again, knowing December is a high risk time, what I've learned from my patients. Okay, well, first of all, what I've learned as a therapist is when your stress goes up, your support needs to come up to meet it. Okay. But what I've learned from my patients is when their stress goes up, they throw all their support out the window. What? Me essential? I don't know. I can't even find me myself. What this slide is showing you is that when stress goes up in December, BariNation can be there every day. There's something you can jump into because we've added support because we don't want anyone to walk alone this holiday season.
Beth, they come, there's a multitude of times. Time zones are either that we initially they're all set in Pacific Northwest time zone, but that works for any point in time. If there are times that work better for other people, please leave. We take all things into consideration, and the app will translate the time for you, like Christine said. But yeah, if there's things that don't quite work for you, please leave us suggestions. We're building things all the time. So, you never know. We could be able to make things that can assist you in that way. And we do want to tell you to join us in BariNation and invest in yourself this season. Please make the bariatric support essential now and in 2024. You are worth the 96 cents a day. Absolutely. And please find the targeted support at barination.mn.co. We are having an annual membership sale. So instead of the $3.99 regular price, we have cut it down to $3.49 for the sale price. That saves you $50 and you can lock in your membership prices for life. You will stay on that discounted price. It will not raise back up after the next year. So please join today.
Friends, as a bariatric therapist who has worked in obesity medicine now for 20 years, I cannot tell you what an incredible resource this is for such a low financial commitment. You just saw all of the support that's available, and many of the supports provided by licensed experts in the field. And you can get all of this for 96 cents a day. Talk about, are you essential? Absolutely, you're worth 96 cents a day. 96 cents a day for life. Because what I've learned from my patients is that community is treatment. Community is just as important, if not more important, than getting your protein in. You cannot walk this journey alone. And that is why I am so passionate about being part of the nation. And I want to invite, we have so many new faces here. I would love to see you in my support groups. Check us out. Lock in this wonderful rate for life. So I want to thank you for joining. I know Jason thanks you as well. Please, I'll just stay connected with me. You can follow me on Instagram at bariatric.therapist. Of course, if you want to continue to work with me, please, I lead 4 to 5 groups in BariNation, would love to support you. You can email me at laura@loragrabow.com. You can head over to my website, loragrabow.com. Please join my email list. I have some exciting things coming up, and I'd like to continue to support your hard work journey. And then BariNation, obviously, if you're not following them at bari.nation, and you can email them at hello@barination.com. This has been fun.
Yes, it has indeed.
Did I miss anything, Jason, Christine?
I don't think so. I think you've done fantastic as always. You are always the consummate professional. I have no doubts or worries or concerns ever, because you're the best. Groups vary. Introverts, that's kind of a thing we understand, and you can always go camera off and muted. You never have to share anything you're not comfortable with, so please. We know how intimidating it can be to click the Zoom link. And so if you want to do that and stay muted and camera off until you're ready to share, please do that. We always respect everybody's boundaries, and we will never ask anybody to share if they're not ready. So,
And the BariNation membership community comes with a fully gated social platform like feed that is organized into different subject matters, plus a regular feed. So when we talk about accountability posts, well, those are things that people are doing on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook. The BariNation community on Mighty Networks, we have our own feed so that we are able to talk to one another, share our struggles, share our wins on a daily basis, and get connection with people who have already raised their hands as people who want support in a very safe and structured environment and do not have to worry about the unwelcome opinions of those who have not, fought the disease of obesity or chosen to be part of a bariatric community. The sale is running through the end of the year, so this will be available through December 31st, and we will see how that is going, but definitely through December 31st. The slides will be shared in the BariNation library. And as I said earlier in the chat, Lora has already done a podcast with some of our founders that you can access on the any of your podcast platforms, Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts. Some of the slides I believe are contained in that as well, but the slides will be within the BariNation community.
Yes,
You can also watch.
You can pay monthly. The monthly rate is $39 a month. We are offering this annual discount just so that it does save people for the commitment to do so. But you are able to have a 2-week free trial to see if this is something that works for you, and then join monthly, and then at any point upgrade to an annual membership. That is really up to you.
And as far as Laura's episode of the podcast, you can actually view that on YouTube as well, and it'll have the copies of the slides as well.
Yes. And everything I just talked about in this class, we talk about on the podcast.
And we
Yes.
talk about in Laura's groups. Lora does 5, sometimes 6 groups a week in BariNation, general support groups, bariatric beginnings. She does them on emotional eating and life and maintenance, as well as some of these more special classes that we also host. And Amy, funny story, 50% of the people when they logged in as April Williams. So that was not you. You were not the drama. That was a tech glitch. Just so that April could remind us all that she is here, even when she's not. All right. Well, it's 6:08. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Jason, as April would say, would you like to take us out?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you all so much for joining us. We really do appreciate you guys for taking the time for yourselves and to join us. And you guys have an amazing rest of your weekend, and let's tackle the week ahead.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye, everybody.